Welcome to Enigma Cast, everybody. And I have finally heard your screams, heard your complaints, read through all my emails. And tonight we're going to be talking about something that you guys have been wanting me to talk about for a long time, and I just haven't had a chance to get around to it. It's the legend of the terrifying Peruvian face peelers. In order for me to dig into a topic like this, there's only one subject matter expert, skeptic, historian that I can bring into my channel to do it with. Welcome back to the show, Jay. Uncle Jay's Urban Legends, because it doesn't get any more urban than this. Jay, how you doing, son? Tell everybody about you that don't know you.
If they've been watching the show at any period of time, they ought to know you by now.
And they do.
So I'm an author and researcher, and you can find me on 11.
Jay writes books.
Go ahead. I know you love that.
Jay writes books, everybody. If you didn't know this about Jay writes books.
I do, and I'd hope to sell some books too. Yeah, so the next book, The Shadow War, is coming out in about a month or so. There's some cleanup work and everything like that, but it should be out within the next month. And then the month after that will be the sequel, An Echo of Legends.
We will plug all that when it happens. Jay, welcome back to the channel, son. Sorry that you're a starving artist, but let's be real. It's part of the process, son. Part of the process.
Yeah, it is.
In fact, if you haven't cut your ear off by now, I don't have any respect, real respect for you, right? If you're not going to Van Gogh this thing. Yeah. Anyways, Enigmites, welcome to the show. We got Uncle Jay on. We're going to be talking about one heck of an urban legend / mystery. And as we do around here, we'll give you the hot details on it. We'll give you some folklore along the way. And me and Jay, which we have done several times and made a lot of people happy, we like to debunk things like Christopher Columbus never setting foot in America, which he did not. And not one single witch ever being burned alive in Salem, Jay. Would you agree?
Yeah. No birds. No burning witches in Salem.
Despite the claims of 200 of them, such fiduciary. But however, this episode is a little bit more up the weird side, and I'm going to give you my opinions on the end of it, and I've already figured it out when we get there, but you have to wait around to the end to do it. So thank you for tuning in. Also, before we get into this, everybody, you may or may not know, I have launched a second YouTube channel called The Daily Enigma, or The Enigma Daily, probably The Enigma Daily, where I go live Monday through Friday at noon for 10 to 15 minutes, and I talk about the strange stuff going on around the world as it happens. Over there, I talk about the paranormal and some conspiracy stuff. So if you haven't done it yet, on the landing page, you'll see the channel. Click over there. Give me a sub, even if you don't watch. I just want to be able to tell my friends I got 2 YouTube channels with a lot of followers. Anyways, let's get into this, son. Are you ready, Jay?
I'm ready.
All right. So we're going to give you the who, the what, the when, the where, and at the end, we will tell you the why. So let's get into it. So it's easy this time to start it. If you haven't, or if you're not familiar with the Peruvian face peeler, urban legend, Jay, is what we're going to call it for now, right? So it's kind of,
it's the jungle, but sure.
Yeah, it's the jungle legend. What would you call that? Like,
I was going to say it's, I thought about it for a minute there. I was like, it's not really an urban legend. Yeah, it's more of just a legend, right?
A legend.
It's not even really a legend. It's a recent story. It's only from like 2 years ago. Yeah. So occurrence?
We'll just call it some fiduciary in the Amazon went down. And we're going to get into it, all right?
Yeah, sure.
So, the when. We're going to pick the case up on July 11, 2023, right? The where. The where is going to be a place in Peru, but it's actually, we're going to, as we roll into it, I'll drill it down to give you a better idea where it's at. But it's in a very extreme, remote place. And we'll give you the details as we go. We got it really dialed in. The who. The who is supposedly 7 foot tall beings, humanoids, covered in black armor that can levitate with yellow eyes through a helmet. Correct, Jay?
Yeah.
And
elongated head.
Yeah, and
yellow eyes.
Yeah, dropped off from an acorn-shipped mothercraft. Anyways, so if you might not know this, because America country that I love. I served, he served. I trained him. Anyways, different story. I served, he served. In this country, we have a tendency to think that the continent of the Americas is only America, but actually there is a Central America and a South America that us gringos don't be talking a lot about up here, but a lot of fidukery goes on down there. There's a lot of tribes in especially South America, a lot of tribes who remain fairly isolated, and would you agree with that, Jay? They still live like they were living 500 years ago, like 1,000 years ago, right? Like, yeah.
Yeah, the Amazon jungle is thick, dude. There's a lot of people living in there that nobody really knows about.
Yeah, it's deep, right? So this happened on down there, but however, I'm going to give you one little story to let you know if you want to look for some wild and crazy stuff going on that doesn't get reported up here in the northern part of the Americas. South America and Central America have had a long-standing history of strange, unexplained things that don't get reported. And one of them that I want to just mention on real quick is this Operation Plato, right? Prato, P-R-A-T-O, Operation Prato, right? Now, this actually was in Brazil, but it started around 1970 in this island of Callout, right? And you have incidents of people for months on a time that were getting attacked by orbs, and they were getting the blood drained out of them. And 200 people fell victim to it, and actually 2 people died, and the people were also experiencing burns and puncture wounds, right? Until the Air Force in Brazil sent all 3 of their helicopters over there. That's a joke at Brazil. But anyways, and it finally stopped. But this Operation Prato has never been debunked, and it's never been explained. And also, there's a lot of weird stuff like that happens. And it happens in it seems to be 3 main areas where it happens. Brazil, which is huge. I mean, Brazil has got to be, what, a third at least of South America, Jay? Or half, maybe?
I think Brazil's like 1/3 of this, 1/3 of the whole continent, isn't it?
Yeah, it's pretty massive, right? It's huge, right? So yeah, right. But Brazil, Peru, and Colombia have a lot of strange stuff going on down there, right? And that's what we're going to jump into tonight, guys. We're going to jump into this place in Peru, right? And so, are you ready to get into it, Jay? Now that we laid the groundwork into it, right? So, if you might not know this, there is a legend, especially in Peru, about creatures that come out of the jungle at night and they attack villagers. And during the attack, they remove the villagers' faces down to the bone. They take the face away, but leave the skull, the skull intact, but they basically take their face away. There's only one small detail that's on that, right? Is that this is done with laser precision. These people are attacked and surgically straight lines are applied to them and their faces are removed. And this is a real thing. This is not something that's like, they have the bodies, they have the stories, right? And so that's what we're going to get into. That's the legend of the Peruvian Face Peelers, or the Los Pelicares. Yeah, Pelicar. I need to work on my Spanish. Pelicares, right? So, Jay, now that we've talked about that, give us the background on the folklore. I mean, the folklore behind it. Like, this is not something new. It's new to us, but it's not something new to them. It's something that's been happening for them for quite a while, Jay.
Yeah. So there's a narrative that seems to tie, like it's a long-standing Andean, Amazonian myth of the Pishtacos. The Pishtaco is a folkloric boogeyman in Peru and Bolivia that's said to kill people to extract their fat. Because to them, fat is important. Like it's there's almost like a religious significance to it. It keeps them. I mean, obviously it's important, right? But to them, it is this almost, religious importance to it.
The essence of life or something like that, right?
Right, yeah. So the Pishtacos are often seen as outsiders, like it's described as white men or mestizos who they prey on the indigenous folks, and they're stealthy. They remove fat for various uses like medicine or lubrication or whatever in the folk belief, right? There's variants all over the Amazon jungle. These creatures take body parts, cause disease, prey on flesh, organs, and they have names from different tribe to tribe, right? So these face peeler stories have some similarities, and they're kind of like, it might be like an adaptation or an amplification of these old legends, right?
Yeah.
Because of all of the, like, there's a lot of logging and mining and stuff that's happening in the Amazon right now.
Right.
So those people are under threat, right? So these legends kind of creep up into the normal consciousness of, you know, it's like a fear thing, right? So when you have these old legends, you know, we like to call people demons, right? That are like, you know, evil people doing evil things. They become almost mythical or legendary in people's minds.
Yeah, and it's burned into the, again, you're dealing, this is not a put down. This is just a fact. You're dealing with people with fourth grade educations who reading and writing don't come into play every day. These are fishing villages. These are people who live in the jungle. And this is most of their traditions are oral traditions passed down. So the fish tacos or whatever Jay just called them there, the
Pishtaco's.
The Pishtaco's, right? The Pishtaco's, right? It's something that they're probably passed down as their, their boogeymen, right? But there is a slight difference between these creatures or this legend. And again, on this channel, if you've watched this any amount of time, right, you know that at baseline level, if we look at something and there's not something unexplainable going on, like something is happening, we won't talk about it. This is happening. People down there are getting their faces taken. We're going to talk about what's doing it in a second, but the fact that right there is that's shocking to me, right? That's shocking that this is going on, right? And I'm going to give you the first. I did a little quick dive, right? And these people keep having these encounters with these things coming from the jungle, and they're always a violent encounter, right? The first case that came up was this guy named Juan Cervante in 2013 in this area. He was they were found his body in Lake Amarilla, right? With no face. He was obviously deceased and his face was removed surgically. They tried to say the piranhas did it, but everybody knew that wasn't true, right? The second case, a boy was found 10 years later in the same area with the same thing, but not in the lake this time. The third case that I found, right, was September the 2nd, 2023. Pablo Verdelis from Pacuna Lake. They tried to get him, but he fought back with a shotgun and he drove them off, right? And all that was one-offs in this area until around July. Oh, at the same time that happened in September, right before that, I'm sorry, I'm gonna get that correct. Same time that Pablo fought off his attacker in September in an area, another major hotspot in that area was this place called San Antonio Dimpacu, right? And it's a remote village in the jungle occupied by these indigenous people called the Akadu people. And the only way to get to their village is a 10-hour boat ride, right? down the Ni River. That's incredible to me. That's incredible. There's no 911. There is no hospital. No, that's it, man. Like literally 10 hours down the Amazon in a boat to get to their village. And in July of 2023, they were getting attacked every single night by face peelers, right? Their village was almost on the verge of being devastated. The men were fighting back with shotguns, but what they were saying is they were describing that there were 7-foot tall beings in black armor, and when they shot their shotguns at them, the pellets just bounced off, and these things could levitate. They were armored. They were armored, right? And so they literally were starving to death because they could not go out into the wilderness. They were scared to go and hunt. They were scared to do, all this stuff. And they knew every night when the sun went down, Jay, they were going to have to fight off like the face peelers, right?
Basically these boogeymen in the jungle.
Yeah. And this happened. No one, and it's funny, this happened. They don't dispute this. Eventually the Peruvian authorities got involved, and they went out there and they're like, oh yeah, this is going on, but what's attacking you is rogue gold miners in jetpacks. Let that sink in.
Right.
let that sink in.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Jay, so rogue gold miners in jetpacks were attacking this random village for unknown reasons and peeling off people's faces.
Probably. I mean, one of the things is being like with the technological difference, right? Between these tribal peoples, right? These people who are not at a technological standard and don't understand what they're seeing.
Right.
And then you have sophisticated people, like paramilitary organization that works for the gold mining company, because if you're mining gold, you've got some money, obviously. Right. And they're coming in and to my mind, it speaks to them manipulating the legends to their advantage.
Yeah.
Right. If they go in and they do these things to people, they can use the people's legends as fear. Right.
Yes. And there's actually historical proof on that, Jay. And with the CIA, and you have the CIA case in the Philippines. So you want to run that down real quick?
I'm not familiar with that one.
So the CIA actually in the Philippines, there was a small communist uprising way back in the day, right?
Oh, that's the vampires one, isn't it?
Yeah, and so the CIA got involved, and what they did is there's a creature that lives in the jungle of the Philippines called the aswang, right? An aswang is just basically a crazy Filipino vampire. So the CIA sent paramilitary guys over there, and they hunted down some of these gorillas, and they unalived them in ways to make it look like they were killed by a vampire, and they hung them in trees. And it was so effective. I don't know why I chuckled at that, but it was so effective. It worked. The guerrillas took off. They stopped attacking, and the uprising was over. And literally, they did it again in Vietnam. They used to blast these sounds in the jungle about these creatures that the Vietnamese were terrified of in the jungle, and it worked. And they actually were told not to play this sound around their allies, or their allies would flee them in the middle of the night, right? So yeah, there is a history of psyops,
manipulating legends.
Of psyops. Of basically taking urban, or taking legends, local legends, manipulating them to cause unrest and or harness it as a weapon. But that leads me into a question though, right here though, bro. Again, what was that original source? It's not like what was the source of the aswang, right? What was the source of whatever this noise was in the jungles of Vietnam that terrified these people so much that it got passed down for generation to generation, that just the sound of it, or the mere presence of it, these people would bug out, right? So
well, there's a lot of legends all over the world about vampires, right? It's not just a European thing. Right. There's many variations on a vampire, the bloodsucker, right? For me, I feel like it sprang from. So there was, and I did some research on something that happened in Herxheim, Germany, right? So in Herxheim, Germany, they found this big archaeological site, and it was like a mass burial ground where there was, I don't even know how many skeletons they found, but there was evidence of cannibalism. and this was, it went back like 10,000 years or something like that. It went back pretty far. But like people used to eat people back in,
I know.
in the tribal days. Like we met, what was it, when we were in Fiji? I don't know if you were with me when we were in Fiji, and we met that guy.
Yeah.
His father had eaten people.
Yeah.
Right? It was far away as like not even 50, 60 years ago.
Yeah. Well, yeah. One generation.
It was not that far.
Yeah. One generation.
So so this idea of the vampire, has probably been refined in stories of not just eating people, but just sucking their blood.
Yeah.
Right? But I mean, people have done barbaric stuff for like thousands and thousands of years. So.
Yeah, and again, man. So if you're not familiar with the cannibalistic side of Fiji, it wasn't always it's always been a tropical paradise, but they actually had cannibalism down to a Gordon Ramsay style fillet, right? It's horrifying to be there. Me and this guy have actually been to Fiji, and it goes into the thing too is that, Jay, a lot of our research that we look into, there's always like an underlying. Book of Enoch, giants, Nephilim, eating people, you know what I'm saying? Cannibalism, Vlad the Impaler. You go into vampires is the oldest word for vampire ever written was in the Sumerian tablet called vampire. So that's it, goes back to legend back there. You also look into I'm doing some study in the Bible where it was when Joshua crossed the river and they were fighting these people. There's some people that would talk about they were actually fighting vampires as well. I mean, there's a whole history on it. I mean, again, if you've only been on this channel for 10 minutes, I'll tell you that everything you've ever been taught about history is a complete and utter lie, right? It's a lie, right? There's all the weird stuff that you've ever heard is probably 100% true. It's not like they're just embellishing. Like when they're saying that there's something living in the jungles that are eating people, it's probably, it's that. And so that's where that came through on that gets passed down. And again, the oldest fear for a human, right? Like I go back in the day, man, the oldest fear is always about getting eaten by something. You know what I'm saying? Like saber-toothed tiger, T-Rex, you know what I'm saying? Right. Other cavemen, right? Like it's always getting eaten, right? Like that's like that's
a bad way to go.
Yeah, I guess it is, right? It's always getting eaten by something, right? So yeah, that's so there is a precedence for the U.S. military. I would say we're masters at it. We can take we've got it down to an art. And that's not something that we just necessarily brag upon, but taking local superstitions and flipping them against the populace is something that the U.S. intelligence agency
definitely something that we've done.
It's something that we've done, right? And then we're probably extremely good at it, right? But things take a change in this case actually it was, let me get this night right down here, July 11th, 2023. Now, these men were patrolling their village because that's literally what it was, man. It was a village, right? No electricity there. They were patrolling their village, right? And every night they're making contact with these beings. But on July 11th, a girl named Talia Díaz was attacked, but she escaped. And she claimed that the two beings grabbed her and they had her in like a strong grip. One of them sprayed something up her nose, which caused her to, be semi-catatonic, I guess, but maintain her, facilities.
Right.
The other one sprayed something on her face that numbed her face. And then they proceeded to try to start cutting her neck off, cutting her face off. I wonder if I should put like a parental. Nobody under 13 watched this video, right? So they started to try to remove her face, but she kind of had just enough about her to fight back just a little bit.
And remember,
yeah, but she also could hear, and she said that these two individuals were speaking to each other in Spanish, and she could tell by the accent one of them was a local, Peruvian, I should say, not necessarily local. And the other one was speaking in a gringo accent, but they both were speaking Spanish, right? And as this was going on, men approached them, saw what was going on, shot off some rounds. They took off, right? And the girl survived. If I can, I'm going to put a picture of that girl right here. And if not, I just snapped my fingers because I couldn't find a picture of that girl to put right there, right? Because it couldn't happen. But the story that she came back with, and when we start breaking this down, Jay, this is why I believe her. These people have been raised on a mythos or a legend of these face peelers. They have found people that have been taken and hurt. So in her mind, when they grab her, she knows they've got me. But the fact that she came back and said, no, oh my goodness, the face, she said, no, it wasn't them. They were speaking Spanish. And it's the gringo Spanish, right, at the end. The accent at the gringo at the end that put it in there, right? And so, again, they kept calling out for help, and no one would come and investigate this situation. But at the same time this was happening, I think it was literally July the 9th or July 13th, that in the closest city, which is 10 miles by a boat ride, right? I guess is technically the closest city, right? And the city's name is Nautu, N-A-U-T-I, Nada. They filmed a creature scaling the walls, going roof to roof in their local city. And this is a people of 35,000, people living there. And I actually do have that clip, and I'm going to put it in right here. And that was an effective snap. You got to see the clip that thing was on there, right?
That clip exists.
That clip exists, right? And so it leads me to believe that I'm the one on the channel that's quick to believe everything. Would you not agree that, Jay? Like, oh, that's it, man.
I think so.
You're right. Jay's in the middle. Sasquatch Steve don't believe anything unless he's taken into custody.
Sees it personally.
Yeah, right. You're not going to believe it, right? But I'm quick to believe a lot of stuff. And when this girl was telling the story of how one was speaking Spanish and she could tell it was a local accent, and the other one was speaking Spanish and it was in a gringo accent, that raised some alarms to me. And so, I just did a quick little look, Jay. And Jay, do you know what was going on at the exact same time in July while this was going on by chance?
Yep, there was American military operations, I believe.
There was actually the exact same time in July 2023, there was a joint military exercise going on in that exact same jungle. The military operation was, and if you've never been in the military, you're going to think this is a cool name, but if you've ever been in the military, like me and this guy, you're going to realize, yeah, that's a dumb Navy or a Marine jarhead officer created this name. Operation Resolute. Oh, I got to get my serious face on. Operation Resolute Sentinel 2023. Now that's a dumb, you could tell a dumb Naval Academy officer created that name. Operation Resolute Sentinel 2023,
yeah.
Right?
Yeah, that tracks totally.
Totally tracks, right? We always come up with the one with Operation Rick James or something like that, right? We're going to do Operation Resolute Sentinel 2023. Operation Vigilant Microphone Magnifying Glass, right? Something stupid, right? So anyways, that's how I know it was real. That's how I know this was real, because the stupid name they give it. A total naval officer created that right there. But anyways, and they were operating out of Alquitos Naval Base, which is on that same river, just up the street a little bit, 10 hours away. And the participants were 87 Marines, and from July 9th through July 11th were operating in the jungle, and they had Space Force and naval personnel with them as well, right? And so at the exact same time, and this is real, and again, I don't like when people do research and you find out what's going on in the area and you automatically dismiss it like, oh, that had nothing to do with it, right? That you can't just do that outright. It's the whole Bigfoot. When people say they see Bigfoot and they also see orbs, but they don't ever mention the orbs, like, oh no, it has nothing to do with it. Well, yeah, if you see Bigfoot and you see orbs, there's something's going on, right? Like it's part of the story, right? So yeah, Jay, the 87 Marines, probably Force Recon, was doing something in the woods, in the jungle for 4 or 5 days with the Space Force down there. The exact same time, Peruvian
these attacks were happening.
At the exact same time, Peruvian Face Peeler attacks were going on in this major village, right? And I got to tell you guys a little something, Enigmites. I can spot some fiduciary. You know why? Because I used to do the fiduciary. And I'm telling you right now, right, Jay? Fiduciary is at a foot, right? Something's going on here. Something's going on here, right? So let me get this straight. I've got a local populace who are terrified of a legend of a face peeler. The exact same time, something in high-tech equipment that appears magical to them, but to us, we just realize that's just high-tech body armor, something, right? Is mimicking the thing that they are most terrified of from a country that has a history of scaring indigenous people with things that they're absolutely terrified of in the exact same way. So, Jay, nothing coincidence there?
So to me, it comes back to the motive, right?
Yeah.
Why snag somebody in the middle of the jungle, right?
Yeah.
Like they don't want to. I think that when I read about the account, she said something about they don't want to damage
the face,
the flesh.
Yeah, don't damage the flesh, right? They wanted,
right?
They wanted they wanted her face intact, right? They wanted it not. They weren't just ripping it off, right? They wanted it intact, right? Yeah.
Which was weird to me, right? Yeah. That's a weird thing to say.
Very.
Just period.
Period. Weird, right? And so but and also a very fun treat about this story that we're telling you right now is that eventually people did go down there to help these villagers. And it was 2 Americans went down there. They arrived in October of 2023. It was 2 Americans, Tim Alberino, which is semi-known on YouTube, and this other guy who is more well-known in my opinion, no flex on anybody, is Doug Thornton, right? And so if you never know who Doug Thornton is, Doug Thornton is actually an ex-Marine who's been on my show. He's been on Enigma Cast, and I will put that at the end of the video, his specific one, where Doug came on and actually talked about this. Doug was boots on the ground down there in Peru. We talked about a lot of the strange stuff that went down there, but he also talked about this. Doug also got a massive shout out. Doug Thornton also got a massive shout out on the Y-Files, right? Where Doug was down there and they conducted their own investigation. They took in food and supplies and equipment, right? And Doug was teaching these guys the proper way to run patrols so that they were not stepping over each other, right? So we talked about that a little bit in our episode that he was on. But they came to the same conclusion that Jay and I are starting to lean to separately, is that these ain't creatures, Jay. Now Jay, right? Now don't get me wrong. There might be something like that in that jungle, right? Down there somewhere. There's a lot of weird stuff in the Appalachians. I can only imagine what's in the Amazon, right?
And there's constant, like, I've been seeing a lot of weird UAP stuff coming from South America as well, right? Yeah. Because it's almost like it's interesting. There's less hesitance to report stuff like that in other parts of the world. In the United States, you usually, get like a U.S. newsroom would laugh about UAP stuff typically until recently.
We all know what they are.
Until recently, right? It's all north of Grumman.
Exactly right.
So I've noticed that in other parts of the world, and specifically talking about South America, they're less hesitant to report on things like this, right? There's been, and I've been looking into the UAP thing because that's, that's my bag. Like space is my thing, right? So, I there is all kind of occurrences of weird things being seen and weird creatures being seen coming out of the jungle.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, you
can't dismiss it.
You can't completely dismiss it, but it also raises, these same things, these same fears, right? Where it was an illegal gold mining operation that was terrorizing some of these people at one point, right? Mm-hmm. And that was like an established fact.
Right.
Like the police and the Navy from Peru went in and they did find some illegal gold mining crews trying to scare people off, right? Mm-hmm. So on one hand, you're like, well, there's some crazy stuff happening down there, but there's also, some messed up people trying to do some messed up stuff down there as well. So it's hard to separate the two things from each other.
Yeah, and again, another thing that adds into it, it's the wild, wild west. There's no laws. There is no law.
In the jungle, there isn't. Not when you can't call cops or anything like that.
There is no 911. There is no lawyers. There is no court. You basically you have village justice, right? And that's. I mean, I want to say this in the gentlest way as possible. Life is cheap in certain parts of this country, right? Of this planet. I'll just even say life is cheap. Yep. And some of these guys have no morals whatsoever. And I'm going to go into that exactly. And a lot of them are veterans. And I'm a veteran. He's a veteran. So I can talk as much smack. Some of the smartest, brightest people I've ever met in my life were vets, military guys. Some of the dumbest knuckle dragging idiots I've ever met in my life are veterans, right? I've met the smartest. And I met guys that I would kick into a volcano if I saw them today, right? That's how stupid. Am I wrong, bro?
No, absolutely. I mean, that's the double-edged sword of the military, right? Yeah. It attracts both people who really truly have a belief in a moral code, and then it attracts the sociopaths too.
Exactly,
right?
Man.
The people
exactly.
who just want to get out there and shoot other people, right? Like. It can attract the best and the worst. So, I mean, we both know some people that...
We've been around tables where people are like, man, I hope I get to kill somebody today. And I'm thinking to myself,
right, like
do not stand behind me. I will do not stand behind me. Do not stand behind me. Right. Yeah. So it happens. It's how it is, right? And so now I'm going to give you my opinion on what I think is going on. And then Jay, I'll have you give your opinion of what you think's going on. Here's the facts. Remote village, 10 miles away by boat. No phones, no power. Being harassed. People are being taken. They're dying. They're having their faces removed by something that resembles a creature in their past that's terrifying to them. However, from our point of view, we know that it's something wearing high-tech equipment body armor, high-tech equipment that's going on. The exact same time that's going on, there's a joint U.S. military, probably special forces were involved, operation in that exact same area. This is what I think's going on. Number one, that wasn't a creature. That creature may exist. This case, not this time around, right?
Yeah.
You have two guys speaking Spanish. Creatures don't speak Spanish to each other in different accents to do it. If they were working in tandem,
if they were communicating to each other, they're not going to speak Spanish.
Yeah, exactly. I actually think that I'm going to go in a dark place here, Jay, and be careful when you pick up on this thread. Do not get this channel kicked off the air. There are people in this earth that will pay a lot of money for certain things from certain people. And you usually have to be taken against your will and be perished for that to get that. That is a 12,000 people. I'm sorry. This is a terrible statistic. 12,000 females a year go missing in Peru. Less than half of them are recovered. What is going on down there was 100% some type of farming, harvesting, highest bidder thing. I actually think the U.S. military in the woods with Space Force was there to combat that. I think they were down there.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah.
In the area that I'm in is a hotbed for that sort of stuff as well.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Because of some of the communities in Pennsylvania.
Rural, small sheriff departments, poor.
Yep.
Easily paid for, easily bought. No one's looking for them, right? Exactly, right?
And the Amish communities, right?
There you go.
Some of that happens, right? Where people just go missing.
Yeah, they just go missing.
Right, and it's rampant all over.
And it's funny too, because and it's not funny, but I don't think the military had anything to do with it. I think they were down there.
No, they were probably there trying to combat it.
To get it down. That's why the Space Force was involved in there. And the reason why is because you had two idiots in billion-dollar suits that couldn't handle a 15-year-old girl, and them speaking Spanish to each other makes perfect sense, right? Because guys, the military is amazing at making stupid people look smart. Do you know how we do it? We take that dog and we beat them until they learn to make their bed the proper way, right? So every morning at 6 o'clock, it's just in their DNA, make the bed the proper way. Because you didn't see Monday through Thursday when he and I stood behind them with a stick and beat them until they got it right. So you can take a dumb person and beat them into a certain set of skill sets. How to move, how to talk, when not to talk, where to shoot, when not to shoot, right? But that doesn't make them smart. Somebody usually has to be behind them, beating them in that direction to go through it, right?
Right.
And it makes perfect sense that you would have two prior military dum-dums, right? Right? From, I hate to say it, probably the Army, because they do have the lowest standards of entry.
Well, I mean,
they take anybody.
You've got people who get drummed out, and then the only thing they know how to do.
Yeah, exactly, for sure.
Is what they were trained to do.
Yeah, exactly. That's another great point. Some guys were stupid when they came in, and I say this, if you're a veteran and you're dumb, I'm a veteran and I'm calling you stupid, right? So yeah, they were dumb when they came in. We taught them something so that they got so good at that when they got out, that's all they knew how to do.
That was the only thing they knew how to do.
And I hate to admit it, they're worth money. Because if you take somebody like that who doesn't have any morals, no values, no regard for human life, you got a perfect...
There's mercenary companies all over the world.
You got a perfect machine. You got a machine. You really do. It's not like they're not fit. They're fit. It's not like they're not physically fit, right? It's not like they're, some of them are big. They're not like they're, weak little, individuals.
Mm-hmm.
But I could totally see two of them fumbling this, right? And her getting away, right? But then at the same time, I could totally see, you might not know this, but when you get out of the military, you get bombarded with recruitment stuff. You get bombarded with it. Bombarded. Depending on what your skill set is, right? And your type of discharge, you get bombarded with it, right? And so there's
all kind of money gets thrown at you.
There's plenty of guys who are fighting in Nigeria right now with bad conduct discharges. They don't care. They'll still give you $250,000 a year to go over there. And they're effective because when we're in the military, we have rules. We have what's called stupid rules of engagement. Over there, it's like, I need that village. No problem, boss. They don't care if you do it with a Zippo or an AR, right? They don't matter, right? So, Jay, that's what I think this was, man, in my opinion. And I'm not, again, man, I'm going on a streak of debunking things. I don't like myself in the mornings when I wake up.
No, I agree with you. I think that this was either one of those illegal mining companies or the thing that you were talking about, because that makes total sense, right? And, I watched a video not too long ago, jetpacks. Mm-hmm. These things exist, right? People, I saw, the one that I saw was military grade, but it was it was effective. I saw a guy, I don't know if you've seen this one or not, where he like they did a ship landing.
Yeah.
Where like they came in a small boat and he like zipped up into the sky and like right onto the other boat and landed it pretty good. I mean, and these are people with resources, right? Even whether you're a legal mining company or the other thing, these are people with resources. Getting a hold of something like that is not out of their realm of possibility.
No, it's not. It's totally not, right? And again, these people have resources, but at the end of the day, I made this comment the other day, man. A gun is just a tool, and so is a rock. You can build a house with a rock, but David also killed a giant with a rock. You can protect people with a pistol, or you can hurt people with a pistol, right? So having the resource, and that's another reason why that I think our theory's fairly sound, bro, is that the people who had the resources say, hey, look, put those two dummies in the T-21 over there, right? And have them go, collect faces. If they get, if they get jammed up, hit autopilot so it just flies the suit back, and then we'll just kill them at the end. They're never going to tell anybody.
Yeah, that's the other thing, right?
Yeah, they're never going to tell anybody about it because no one's looking for them because they're not going to cash that check, right? That happens, right? That absolutely freaking happens, right? And so that's what I think this is. And I gotta tell you something, Jay. I wish it was like a cryptid out of the jungle, man. I really do, man. Instead of this, I actually wish it would have been
instead of a human being.
Yeah, man. Instead of it being a human, dude, I would have preferred it would be like an actual freaking cryptid coming out of the jungle. Yeah.
Because at least then right? It's a monster.
Yeah.
These are humans.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? These are just bad people.
Yeah. So we talk about dogmen, right? So if you run into a dogman, right, like. Okay, and he's trying to kill you. It's a dog man. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's his nature, right? Like, that's what it is, right? And I say it several times, Jay. What's the most dangerous thing in the woods?
Other people.
Other people, man. The most dangerous thing you'll ever encounter in the woods is other people. If you're walking into the woods at 4 or 5 in the morning and someone's walking out and you're like, why are you here? And they say, why are you here? Well, then you know what? Then I'm your Huckleberry. I hope you got a fast draw.
We're going to
right?
have a conversation.
Right, yeah. I hope you got a fast draw, right? But that's just the nature of the game, man. And then me and this guy have been in the military. We've been around these guys. Everybody likes to think, Jay, that we're doing high speed stuff all the time, but they don't realize it's just a lot of downtime, right? And you talk to these guys, and you're like, yo, man, you are. And he's probably heard me say it, and I've probably heard him say it. I've told people, you are the dumbest mother effer I've ever met in my life, man. I swear I should stomp you right here where I stand you, man. Don't ever speak to me again, right? Right? So those conversations happen. I don't ever want to catch you anywhere near me, dude. I will stomp you out on site, right? That happens, right? So yeah, man, that's what this was, Jay, in my opinion. And I think that I don't believe that the U.S. military was down there pretending to be these guys. I think they were down there trying to capture and kill and get a hold of these guys in a wider global effort to crack down on trafficking of body parts and everything else right now. Because we all know, I'm not going to use the word, but there is something that people with a lot of money seem to want to get their hands on to make them look younger. And I think and it has something to do with the face, and it has a lot to do with the face, right? And so I don't know if that's where all the nerve endings are at. I don't know what it is. I don't care. I don't want to know. I think. Well,
I mean, there's just, there's so much you can do with the human body.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. Like as raw, and just talking from a raw material standpoint, right?
Yeah.
There's pieces and parts that are worth thousands upon thousands of dollars.
Yeah, exactly. And unfortunately, man, like there's a market for it. There's a market for it that the thing that probably Jay and I have struggled with a lot, and there's other people too, is that sometimes you'll come across something or people and you can't believe that is a thing. It's because you have a healthy mind. There's a lot of people out there with very unhealthy minds who have no problem doing that, or no problem, just, hey man, where can I get a kidney? Well, I can get you one for like 20 grand. Well, okay. Right. Well, let me get a spare one, right? Well, here's 2, right? They don't ask where it came from or where it is, but they know where it came from. They know what it's about, right? And so, yeah, man, that's the thing. That's the thing that bothers me, and I don't want to end on a sour note, but like, yeah. So, Jay, cryptid, not cryptid?
No, I think this was exactly what you said. I think this is just bad people doing bad stuff.
Yeah, bad people doing bad stuff with very wealthy
backers.
Yeah, organizations, 3-letter agencies, maybe, I don't know, but with a lot of money.
Typically, they don't have to stoop that low.
Yeah, exactly right. Yeah. So that's what it is, in my opinion, guys. I know this has been sitting in my inbox for 4 months, but if I told you that's not uncommon, would you believe me? Because it takes this guy a week to get a hold of me sometimes, and he's on my priority list, on my priority list, right? So yeah, it's been in there for a while. I've met Doug Thornton. He's been on my show. He's a great guy. We've talked about this. He was the one that went down there as well. He's, again, you can type him into Doug Thornton, type him into the YouTube search bar. Go check out his content. It's pretty awesome. He was down there, boots on the ground, been on Enigma Cast. We've talked about it. And he taught them how to go on patrol. But at the end of the day, Jay, this is bad men doing bad things to people who can't defend themselves. And I think the U.S. military was operating down there to do that. And the reason why I say that is because, yes, there's bad people in the military. Yes, there's bad people that get out. But I've never been on an operation where all 100 of us were, just bad.
Were those people.
Were those people, right?
Right.
And again, you put 10 guys together and 9 of them are stand-up dudes, man. And if we were 10 of us were clearing a house or we were doing something and one dude was getting out of line, the other 9 would handle it. Jay, am I right on that?
Yeah, absolutely. And the military has a way of weeding out those bad elements as well, right? Yeah. Like, nobody's silent when somebody's a sociopath in your unit because you know that person's not just endangering other people, they're endangering you as well. Yeah, exactly. So nobody's going to keep quiet about that shit.
None. And again, if they don't handle it, we'll handle it. I mean, that's just how it is. We sleep. It's crazy, but we're sleeping together, we're eating together, we're traveling together, we're showering together. One donkey in the group. You're gonna get told once or twice, and we've actually no names here, no names.
Right, no names.
We've actually seen it put into play, and it's an effective method. It works. And again, if the chain of command doesn't sort it out, we'll sort it out in the field. And it's and I actually prefer the second method. It's less paperwork, and I don't have to sit down and tell anybody about it. So
we don't have to go to captain's mast again.
Exactly. Again, work with it. So, Jay, we're on the same page on that. And so, you know what we do around here at Enigmites? I'm sorry, this is not a cryptid story, but I did feel obligated for the 14 emails that I had sitting there asking me what I thought about it, what I thought about it, what I thought about it. That's what I thought about it. So, however, you know how we do around here at this time. Hit that subscribe button. Give us a thumbs up. If you disagree with what we said, you're probably not that smart, but leave it in the comments below, and I will blame Jay for everything.
Yeah, totally blame me.
All the credit. Absolutely. Because let's be honest, this face pays the bills. Jay, you got anything as we go out?
No, just stay safe and don't get any white fans.
Exactly. Stay safe. Jay's got a book coming out in a month. We will properly promote that when it comes out, Jay, and get that out there, and we will get people going. Sure. And then we'll get Jay to go to the local mall in Lancaster and do a book signing down there in Barnes & Noble or something like that, sure. Jay. And you guys go up there and get a picture taken with Uncle Jay from Uncle Jay's Urban Legends, and then we'll talk all about it. So, Jay, do you got anything as we leave?
No, I think I'm done for the night.
All right. So you know how we do around here, nerds. That's all you get for $1. And we're out.
Subscribe now and turn on the notifications to join us on this extraordinary journey into the unknown.